What's going on, everybody? FJC here, back with another BattleBit video. In my last video, I discussed how BattleBit is getting a little bit stale, but they recently released some patch notes that make updates to weapons. On top of the weapon changes, they also changed lean spamming and a couple of different changes that we're going to talk about in the video. So without further ado, let's get right into it, and I'm going to start by talking about the changes to weapons. I'm going to start by talking about the 3 weapons that had the least amount of changes done to them. The first weapon was the FAMAS. It had a damage increase from 24 to 26. The SG550's muzzle scale was also reduced again from 0.85 to 0.6, and the G36 vertical recoil was increased from 1.40 to 1.45, and the horizontal recoil was reduced from 1 to 0.84. As of the day I'm recording this commentary, these changes haven't officially rolled out. They've just been posted on the Discord, but I do like the direction they're going with the weapon changes because it brings more variety and balance to the weapon system. The FAMAS damage increase was definitely needed, as I do not think the weapon gets enough love or any love at all, so hopefully the damage increase persuades people to use the weapon a little bit more. The change to the SG550 isn't huge to me at all. It's basically the same update that was done to it last time. Last time the muzzle scale was reduced from 1 to 0.85. Now it's reduced from 0.85 to 0.6. So we'll see how the weapon plays out, but I'm expecting it to play the exact same. And the G36 change, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't used the weapon a whole ton, so I don't really want to voice an opinion on it. I didn't find that the gun had a crazy amount of vertical recoil, so I guess that's why they increased it, but I didn't think the gun had a crazy amount of horizontal recoil either, so they decided to reduce it. So we'll also see how the weapon plays out. Now we move on, in my opinion, to the bigger weapon changes. We start with the Ultimax, and basically they've made the weapon faster. They started by increasing the reload speed by 10%. They reduced the first shot kick from 2 to 1.5. They reduced the vertical recoil from 1.5 to 1.1, increased the ADS speed from 0.35 to 0.3, and increased the run speed from 0.9 to 0.925. I'm not a huge support player, but I do understand that there's a lack of variety when it comes to the support weapons, so I'm hoping that the Ultimax change also gets people to use the weapon more often, as it's a weapon that I've barely seen in the game. Next, we move on to the AS Val, which is a weapon I've used a lot in game, and with the changes that they made, I think this will become a more viable option in BattleBit. The AS Val's horizontal recoil was lowered from 1.9 to 1.2, which is a huge jump. The accuracy on the weapon was also increased from 68.75 to 75. The sound spread was lowered from 600 to 200. The control was lowered from 0.86 to 0.8, and the reload time was increased from 3 to 0.33 seconds. The final change to the AS Val is the damage fall off, which is increased from 20 meters to 40 meters, which is a huge difference as well. With these changes, the AS Val is definitely a more accurate gun now, and I'm hoping that we see it a lot more in game. Next on the weapon list, we have the Honey Badger, which had a ton of changes done to it, and I'm hoping with these changes that we see more of the Honey Badger as well, as the gun is rarely used. But we start the changes off with the damage being lowered from 32 to 28, the vertical recoil being lowered from 1.5 to 1.25, the horizontal recoil being lowered from 1.9 to 1.1, which is huge. The velocity was lowered from 440 to 400. The accuracy was increased from 68.75 to 72.25. The fire rate was increased from 800 to 880. The sound spread was lowered from 600 to 200. The reload time was lowered from 4.17 seconds to 3.79 seconds. The base magazine capacity was increased by 1, so from 24 to 25. And the damage fall off starting distance was increased as well, from 20 meters to 40 meters. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you've known that I've referred to the Honey Badger as being a worse AS Val. So I'm hoping with the Honey Badger changes and the AS Val changes, it kind of gives both weapons to go into a lane of their own. Yes, the weapons are both very similar in terms of they both have a built-in suppressor, but I do believe that they should perform very differently. Next up, we have changes to the UMP45 and the PP2000, but I'm going to start with the UMP45. The UMP45 is a gun that I rarely ever use and I've rarely seen in game, and the only time that I have used it is because my chat has specifically told me to use the weapon. The first change we start with is an increase of damage from 25 to 28, which is a pretty significant difference if you ask me. The vertical recoil was increased from 0.9 to 1. The horizontal recoil was also increased from 0.5 to 0.65. The velocity was lowered from 500 to 475, and the damage will start to fall off now at 30 meters rather than the previous 50. And finally, we have the PP2000. First on the list for the PP2000, we have an increase in damage from 23 to 24. They reduced the vertical recoil from 1.2 to 1.1, increased the fire rate from 900 to 1000, reduced the ADS time from 0.2 seconds to 0.15 seconds, and reduce the damage fall off starting distance from 50 to 30 meters. Overall, the weapon changes in my opinion are a very good thing to the game. I think it'll bring a lot of variety in terms of what weapons to use in game, and we'll definitely start seeing more of these weapons in game very soon. Next on the list, we move to the biggest update that we've seen in terms of gameplay mechanics and combat, which is the nerf of lean spamming. I'm sure a lot of people are very happy with this change. Me personally, I'm kind of indifferent to it. I never really used lean spamming a lot during combat, and I've never found it an issue when somebody's lean spamming against me to kill them. I'm more curious to how they're actually going to implement this change in game. I'm assuming you can lean left and right at full speed once, and then the second you lean left again, it slows down and keeps slowing down the more you do it. But we'll have to wait until the update actually rolls out to see how affected you are in game. In my opinion, all the notes that I just read off to you were the most important patch notes to come out on the list. The ones I'm about to mention now are still very important and add value to the game. I just personally thought the weapon changes and the lean spamming is more important. But snipers will now give off a stronger muzzle flash, so you'll be able to see their flash more. The L86, which is the starting support weapon, will have a default red dot sight. Domination tickets have been increased. They haven't said by what amount. The anti-grenade trophy was moved to light gadget rather than heavy gadget. It will now no longer destroy friendly grenades, and it will give you XP when it destroys a grenade. Destroying the anti-grenade trophy or the MDX will now give you XP. News and updates will no longer show up unless they are actually changed. The player will now get an attack or a defend bonus plus squad points when they are in the flag, regardless of the flag being marked by the captain in a casual game mode. And last but certainly not least, essentially all the RU weapons, so the AS-Val, the AK-5C, SVD, Groza, PP-19, PP-2000, the SV-98, and the AK-15 will now have access to the OKP7 scope, the 1P78, and the PKAS scope. So that is the entire list of patch notes that was posted on August the 24th. There has been no word on when this update will release, but we can expect it to release within the next week or so. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Definitely let me know your guys' opinions on the update and what changes you guys think should be made to the game and how you feel about the game at its current state. Anyway guys, this has been FJC. I will see you in the next one. Much love. Peace out.